Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call a roll, please.
Mike Curtis.
Here.
Amber Brown. Jerry Sartain.
Here.
Gary Farley.
Here.
Renee Curtis. Here. Patrick Hale.
Here.
Zane Cantrell.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. We have the minutes of the meeting of our last month. Do you have any changes or additions to the minutes?
Move be approved, Mr. Chairman.
I second, sir.
We have a motion that it be approved and a second. Call a roll, please.
Mike Curtis.
Yes.
Jerry Sartain.
Yes.
Gary Farley.
Yes.
Renee Curtis.
Yes.
Patrick Hale.
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it is approved. Thank you. Let me welcome all of you here today. It's always good to have a full house, so thank you for being here. And I'll kind of tell you how we'll do this. The first thing, this may be the first time you've ever been to one of these meetings, but we'll have a report on each item from our staff. And then those of you who are making a request, we'll ask you to come to the podium and give any additional information. There may be some questions that we'll have of you. And then after that, we will have a public hearing. Each of you will have a chance to come to the podium and state your case. We would like for you to keep it within 3 minutes, and we'll consider, after all of the public hearing, we'll consider each item as it comes before us. The first item we have is a request by Shawn Foster, who is requesting a special exemption approval for an accessory structure before the principal structure is being built. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2025-06 involves the property located at 7710 Hughes Road. It's a request for special exception approval for the establishment of an accessory structure before the principal structure. The property is located in the RM zone. The site in its current state is 11.8 acres. It is currently being subdivided into 2 tracts, one measuring 2.83 acres, and the remaining acreage is 8.59 acres. On the 2.83 acre lot that's being created, there is an existing shed that the applicant would like to keep on the property. The reason that she is having to come before you is because we cannot sign the plat until this issue is remedied. Once the plat is signed, it is the applicant's intention to place a home on the property pretty much immediately. We received several phone calls regarding this. Once it was explained to the callers what the applicant was seeking, no one indicated any opposition to the request, and we found that that application met the criteria for special exception, and then within a couple months it would not even be needed because she anticipates pulling a permit almost immediately after the plat's recorded. So these are photos of the surrounding area, and it was difficult to see through these trees, but this is the shed. The shed measures 12 by 28 or 336 square feet, and it falls within the allowances for detached accessory structures. And so this is a snapshot of the plat, and I just zoomed in so you could see the location of the shed. Detached accessory structures can be 5 feet off the rear and side property lines, and so it meets that requirement. This building line that you see here is for the principal structures, which shows a 10-foot setback and a 20-foot setback along the rear. The applicant's soil area is here, and I imagine that the house will be placed somewhere in this location. And we recommend approval. And that
Questions of our staff?
I do, Danielle. So it hasn't been subdivided yet. and this is on the 2.8.3 acres. If it's approved tonight, if we approve as read, and then they sell it prior to building the home, does our ruling stand?
It would be a special exception for an accessory. It would be regardless of the property owner. Or you can condition it, you know, so.
Any other questions? Thank you. Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around to the podium, please. Hi, right there, yeah. Do you have any follow-up to this additional?
Just wanted to address me.
Okay, go ahead.
There. Good afternoon. My name is Shawn Foster. Thank you for hearing my request today. I want to let you know for sure that I will not be selling this property ever. I plan to live here till the day I die. So last November, my daughter and I sold our home and have been living in an Airbnb while preparing to move onto our property. In the meantime, we needed a secure place to store all of our belongings, so I had a storage building placed on the property with the intention of making a smooth and responsible transition at our permanent home. I fully understand now that I should have gone through the proper zoning process first, and I'm here in good faith to make that right. The building is new, well-kept, and located at the very back of the property where it cannot be seen from any road. It's currently being used and will only ever be used for storage, nothing commercial or disruptive, and will be a part of the long-term plan for the living on this property once the utilities are in place. I truly appreciate your time and consideration, and I'm open to any conditions the board feels are appropriate to ensure it complies with the zoning regulations.
Any questions? Comments? Thank you. You may be seated. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who would like to speak on this request. Close the public hearing. I'll entertain a motion on it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to approve the request with conditions set forth by staff.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Got a second. Any further comments? Call a roll, please.
Mike Curtis,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
Patrick Hill,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it is approved. You want to pull up the next one?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next item we have is by Shelby Hunton, this is on Riley Road, and request for a special exemption approval to allow the establishment of a non-commercial storage facility for personal storage. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2025-07 involves a property located at 2240 Wiley Road. It's a 4.43 acre parcel that is zone residential medium, and the applicant is seeking special exception approval for the establishment of a non-commercial storage facility to be used for personal storage. The subject property is a vacant tract with, I'm sorry, it's not vacant. It has an existing structure that was built originally under the agricultural exemption. After a couple years, it was determined that the applicant was using it for personal storage and that they would need to apply for a permit for the structure to be inspected, but before a permit could be issued, he would need a special exception for the accessory structure on a property absent a principal structure. The site, the applicant submitted information indicating that the site does not contain soils that would support the installation of a conventional septic system, and we find that the applicant's intentions to use the property for personal storage such as antiques and woodworking machinery equipment. The building itself is 5,200 square feet. And so this is the building, and most recent aerial photography shows the structure and its location on the site. It's located at the end of Riley Road, which Riley Road, the pavement ends pretty much at the corner of Timber Place and Riley Road where it intersects. And the applicant has a driveway, personal driveway that he has constructed to access the property. Now, as a result of this case, we did place signs on the property and notified property owners within 1,000 feet. We have received a lot of phone calls regarding the drainage in the area, and even the highway department has gone out and talked to Mr. Hunton and some surrounding neighbors regarding the drainage issues that is felt caused by the driveway. Now, there have been drainage issues in this area historically, but the road department determined that and spoke with the applicant and property owners and agreed to certain improvements that would help alleviate some of the drainage concerns felt by one property owner. And staff finds that the use of the structure for personal storage would not be detrimental to the surrounding neighborhood as long as it consistently complies with the conditions for non-commercial storage facilities, which specifically states that it cannot be used for storage for businesses that occur off the property, including home-based businesses, and it cannot be used as living quarters or as a commercial business. As long as the minimum required setbacks are continued to be met, and that obviously no additions to the structure itself. And we recommend an additional condition based on the information that was provided to the Rutherford County after the case was advertised and once the property owners were notified, the surrounding property owners, and we recommend, if the board chooses to approve this request, that prior to the issuance of any building permits, the applicant shall undertake and complete all required modifications to the driveway as previously coordinated with the highway department. Such modifications shall include, but not be limited to, the installation of a culvert and the cleaning of an existing drainage ditch. The aforementioned work shall be subject to inspection and approval by the highway department to ensure satisfactory completion, and that would be prior to the issuance of a building permit that would remedy the code enforcement violation. And so I will show some pictures, and if Tanya, you would like to add anything? We posted a sign on the property, surrounding areas.
I don't really have anything else to add to what Danielle said. We established a case on this in May of '23 when the building went up. The applicant came in and cited that it was for agricultural use. At that time, agricultural use was approved. And then about a year later, we were notified by the neighbors saying that it was not being used for agricultural use. So we again contacted the homeowner, or the property owner. He came in and decided, or was trying to decide, whether he wanted to build a single-family dwelling on the property and was going to research the soils availability. Several months passed. We reached back out to him again. That was not done, so this was his alternative route, was to come before the BZA to get approval for an accessory on the property.
I've got a question. All right. Being what I'm hearing from these two ladies, that there's a history here of non-compliance and being told one thing and then doing something different. If this is approved, from what you're saying with those other conditions, is there a way that we could require a bond that could be, if he doesn't do these things that you're talking about, a bond where the county would make sure that it was done? Is that something that's
Well, the way the condition is worded, for him to remedy the existing code enforcement violation, he would need to obtain a building permit for the construction of the building. And then obviously the building's constructed, but he'll have to demonstrate that it meets the building code, and the structure has to be inspected by the building department to make sure that it meets the building code. We cannot issue a zoning compliance for a detached accessory structure that would allow him to pull the permit until he's satisfied the conditions. And so the way that the condition is recommended, he cannot remedy the situation, the code enforcement violation, until he has satisfied the highway department with the work that they discussed would take place, and met all of the requirements during the zoning compliance phase, which our engineering department will then look at the structure itself and determine whether or not it's caused other issues in the area in regards to drainage. And then we could issue the zoning compliance form, and then he could obtain a building permit. It's convoluted, but it's a long process, but it would he would not be able to move forward or remedy the situation until this work was done.
And as you both know, the reason I bring this up is because I have a problem with bad actors. When people say they're going to do things and then don't do it and don't follow through, or we tell them there's certain requirements and they don't follow through, I've got that history, and I'm going to stand by that history.
Right.
I got concerns from what I just heard, so thank you.
I don't think we have any legal precedent to require a bond.
Yeah, I don't think we do either, Mr. Farley, but I do know that Ms. Bell, she has a case open now, and she's very diligent in following up on those cases, and we've had them happen before where we try to work with people, just understanding the realities of life. But at some point, if the violation is continuing, we have options to take the owner either into criminal court or into civil court to get a judge to do something, and we've done that before. And so if we had to do that here, if this were granted and the terms weren't complied with over a reasonable period of time that Tanya and I felt was palatable, we could take the next step.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mike, go ahead.
Looking at the imagery on both the presentation and on what's on the public GIS, I'm seeing what appears to be outside storage on the property. Has that been addressed through codes?
I'm not sure that outside storage still exists. It doesn't show in any of our pictures, but then we haven't been able to access the actual building itself. We haven't done an inspection inside the building yet.
Yeah, that's just one of the requirements for this detached accessory structure. I just want to make sure that was mentioned in the meeting. That's
yes,
all.
But
Thank
if it's there when we go on site, it will be addressed.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Gary, go ahead.
So this is 4.43 acres, and this is the size barn you build for a 100-acre farm. What was the original use of this building? What did you find?
When we first addressed it in May of 23, he told us it was an agricultural barn. At that time, now since May of 23, we have become more restrictive on our agricultural approvals, but at that time we weren't. So we took an applicant's word for it, that when they said they were going to use it for agricultural purposes, unless they prove otherwise, we took their word for it. We no longer do that. We do some more diligent confirmation of agricultural use, but at that time we did not.
What I really was saying, what was your evidence? What did you find when this first came up? What was going on there then?
In May of 23, so when someone comes in to apply for agricultural approval, we don't make a site visit. We didn't go on site, or we didn't make an effort to go on site until we got complaints from the neighbors.
Okay, there's a lot of questions here. Let's see what we have here. Do we have anyone? Go ahead.
I actually need that staff. I forgot to ask this a while ago. All right. On the letter that from the soil consultant, it talks about that she noticed a lot of fill material. My question is, that fill material that's out there, is it required to be permitted because if it's being brought outside of the actual land that's there now, it has to be permitted and approved through BZA. Has that been approved through your all's office?
For him to bring fill material in on the property,
Field that the field that's out there that he's brought in.
you know, I don't know the time frame at which that fill material was placed, but you're going to hear a lot tonight about drainage issues. If you were to approve tonight, then his next step would be to apply for zoning compliance form. That zoning compliance request will go through a review by our engineers, and if it's determined that that fill material, because they can look at the aerials and determine when something's been brought in, he would be probably required to obtain a land disturbance permit. But that would be our engineer's determination. And you're going to hear a lot tonight about drainage. And I know that they have spoken with the highway department about the drainage that's occurring in the unopened portion of Riley Road. But if there are other factors that the structure is creating other drainage issues in the surrounding area, the engineers will look at that as far as the structure is concerned for the effect on other private property. And so we're just considering the use of the structure tonight. Okay.
Do we have anyone here representing this request? If you'll come around to the podium, please. Do you have any additional information you want to share with this?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, board, and staff. So just a little bit of history about this property. The house in front of this, I was consulted about helping the seller a few years ago in 2021. And he told me he had almost 5 acres behind it and that he would maybe sell it. And he said when he bought the property, he didn't even know he got this 5 acres. It was just they said, here's your second deed, and he didn't know that it came with the house. So it wasn't a very sought after property. I paid about, I think, $50,000 for it in 2021. It was literally a dump site for the neighborhood. Here's a part of a car that I removed from the property. There was old lawnmowers, trash, trees. You couldn't drive on it, of course, or really access the property. You had to walk above huge logs that fell all over the property. So I spent quite a bit of time cleaning the property, old lawnmowers. I mean, it was literally a dump site for the neighborhood over the past probably 50 years because nobody could do anything with it. So I did spend quite a bit of time cleaning the property. In the meantime, you asked about the size of the buildings. It wasn't really my intention to put those up. I just was approached about this building, and I thought, well, I could put that there and it'd be great for storage. And I've got some antique cars and other stuff that was left to me by my dad. They're not worth a lot of money, but I don't want to sell them, and it'd be just a great place to store stuff. So I tried to work with my neighbors, especially the person in front. I guess he's you'll probably hear from him tonight, worked up about some stuff. The area has always had a drainage issue. I mean, I've grew up about a quarter mile from there, and I've been here 50 years, my whole life, and I know that it's always had a bad drainage issue. You know where it always floods when we get a little bit of rain, and this is one area that the corner there is always underwater, always. Just like this last rain period, water seeping under Riley Road before it even goes down to the ditch. So that should tell you, even before it hits my portion or the ditch beside the driveway, it's already backed up a lot. So it's a bad area. Actually, this last time we cleaned the ditch, which I've talked to the James, the county engineer, about the flooding, and I walked it just to see what is holding this up. So maybe 50 yards past my property, the water should flow on down, but it just stops. So I don't know what you alleviate, and that's off my property. These buildings are just sitting on top of a large limestone rock area. So it was brought up, what's taken so long going through this whole process? Well, just to get the soil scientist, I think I was on I had to pay him, and it took maybe 6 months for him to come out. So it's not a quick process. It does take a long time to go through all this, but I'm very happy to comply with doing a culvert. I've got a plan with James, the county engineer. We cleaned the ditch the other day. I was hoping to maybe have this culvert in, but without the amount of rain we've had, there's no way to bring in equipment to get anything done. So basically, it's always been a flood area. I hate it for that neighborhood, but the fingers don't need to be pointed at me. It's not this land that's causing it.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead.
All right. When you went in and you told codes that it was agriculture,
Yes, sir.
all right, what was your reasoning for that?
Well, in the past, I mean, this county's gotten a lot stricter on that, but I've seen people zone stuff or go in and build structures and live in them, and that's not the right way to do it. And going back, I probably would have done things a lot different, but I was just going to zone it agricultural and use it for storage, and probably do there's a lot of wood on that property, and probably do more like logging type issues or agricultural business. There's other things, maybe going into possibly like some bees, or I don't know. There's a lot of things that could be done there.
So you really didn't know?
Wasn't sure, right, exactly, yes, sir.
Okay. All right, my next question, were you the one that actually had put the driveway in, or had it put in?
So the drive was partially in, but I've added a little bit of gravel. Now, I've tried to bring it down where everything flows over, but the flowage, the ditch, has not been disturbed other than us cleaning it out.
And knowing, and from your statement earlier, knowing that you knew that there were drainage problems there, did you not think that you might need to consult with someone, that there might be needed a culvert or something like in there to get where it would not get worse?
Well, I don't know if we could look at the ditch. So the ditch has not been disturbed. If anything, we've cleaned it out. There's fallen trees, privet, logs, there's trash.
Well, I think, did the road superintendent or someone say that, or the engineer said that it's increased the drainage?
He would like me to maintain the ditch, and I've said, yes, we can do
Okay,
that.
so that really caused a problem.
What's that?
So it really caused a problem.
No, not by so there's a log cabin, and it's had some large trees that has fallen into the ditch. And they're not our trees, but we've actually cut them up and brought them onto my property to get them out of the ditch. But the ditch that drains the whole corner of that neighborhood, it's not impeded by my driveway or my property. It goes beside the driveway and then turns and then just stops in the woods.
And my last question.
Yes, sir.
All right, what is your occupation?
Real estate.
Okay, I thought that was it. So let me ask this question. I got the follow-up question.
Yes, sir.
With you being a realtor, did that not tell you some things about it? You really couldn't make that an agricultural building, that you were going to be storing
Well,
purpose for
that's what
property?
I was saying. I've had a lot of clients in the past, before we were really strict, that would do this, that they would zone it agricultural. Now, one issue is it's below 5 acres. It's 4 and change, plus or minus, so that was, I guess, the issue.
Thank you. That's all the questions I've got.
But one thing, I mean, literally, I've probably taken off 10 large trailer loads of trash off this property. And if anybody wanted to see what I've done there, I can.
Mr. Hunton, let me ask you this question. This is a pretty large structure. What do you need? Why do you, this is for personal storage.
Right.
What are you going to be storing there?
Well, so I've got an enclosed trailer. I've got more sentimental, like 4 older cars, a 51 Studebaker pickup and an Opel GT. There's a few just old cars.
Mm-hmm. So you have some old cars you're going to store?
Got old cars, and I just have,
Okay.
stuff. I've got a lot of stuff.
Yeah. To me, that's a real question.
Right.
Why do you need all this, this amount of storage, if it's just going to be personal? And that's pretty large. When do you plan on building there? You're going to build a home there?
Yeah, we would love to build a dream home there, but we would have to wait till sewer comes through.
Pardon me?
We would have to wait till sewer comes through.
Yeah. Well, there may never be a sewer there.
There-
So you
Maybe in our lifetime, there'll be some sewer
Yeah.
out that way, but
Yeah.
I know there's been requests and studies even 10 years ago in the 90s to put sewer in there.
Do you have you done a soil test out there to whether
Yes,
you?
sir. We did. That's what I said. I was on the waiting list for 6 months to have the soil scientists come and say that there's no sites found.
Okay.
And that's in the report.
Any other questions? You may be seated. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I see the 2 buildings. What is in between the 2 buildings?
So this one building, but in between, there's a little bit of a 20-foot, they're 20 feet apart, so that was going to be just like a woodworking shop, no commercial activities. I've got some old, like a wood lathe and table saw and other things. This thing sits way off the road. Most of the year, you can't even see the building, and I've tried to leave a good buffer of trees and privet in between the road and the buildings.
Is there power?
No power right now, and no water.
How do you do the woodworking if you don't have any power?
Well, eventually, we'd like to get power there for that.
Hey, any other questions? Thank you.
Oh, Mr. Hunton, were those pictures submitted with your application?
Yes, I believe.
They were, okay,
those-
as long as we have it for the record.
Okay.
We'll open this for a public hearing
and-
for anyone who'd like to. We're gonna, go ahead and move on.
One other thing.
No, sir, we're gonna,
Okay.
we're gonna, we may call you back. That's enough right now.
Okay. I do have one letter, but
Okay.
from a neighbor.
You can give that to our staff. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on it. If you'll come around at this time, please.
And this is just a letter from someone indicating that they did not have any issues with the requests, and they live at 419 Lillard Road. So.
Just give us your name and any information.
How's it going, everybody? Can you hear me? All right. My name is Robert Burford. I own BB Creations Catering. I love Murfreesboro. I live at 614 Timber Place. Is there any way to put the satellite map back up there? So I live, if you come down Riley, it continues all the way to Shelby's property. I live right to the right of that. So the driveway that he built, you can see between mine, I'm the little one right there at 614 Timber. So my property was owned at a time by the same guy, and we couldn't afford. He wanted $100,000 for us to purchase that 4.8 acres back there, and we couldn't afford that, and we didn't want to because I went back and looked at it. It was all caves. There was nothing back there that could be built on, and we knew that the side of it was county property there, where this owner has built up the road. So I'm not here to attack anybody. I'm not here. I haven't handled myself correctly in the past. I'm a chef. I kind of get the Gordon Ramsay going on sometimes. But my father-in-law is a well-respected person here. He's a Southern Baptist preacher. He's been talking to me a lot, trying to calm me down. So I'm not angry. I'm not upset. But what I do want is if I'm expected to follow the law, I think other people should be expected to follow the law. So like I said, I own a catering company. This is the pile of paperwork that I have to get from the fire marshal, you name it, from the city, from the county. I log into TN Tap every month, pay my sales tax. I love Rutherford County. I'm from Michigan, so probably why I'm talking so fast. My wife my wife went to MTSU. She's from North Carolina. She's from down here. I talk way too fast for her. So, but this is all the stuff I have to do. This landowner, and I have a photo in 2021. If you go to Google Earth, you can actually go back. And I heard somebody up here state it wasn't built till 23. This building has actually been there since 21. So it was never permitted. Nobody came back and did any soil samples or anything. There was a drainage test done, which failed. You couldn't build on it because there's no drainage. So he had it surveyed at the same time. So drainage is a large issue. That area was horrible for drainage. It's been very bad. But he took an area that was 30 feet, 35, 40 feet wide. There was a natural green grass that flowed down to the ditch. He filled half of that up, 6 or 7 rock loads of stuff. He put fabric down. I don't know what kind of fabric it is. It's so the gravel doesn't sink into the ground. He brought in over 100 loads of fill dirt in, not approved by anybody. After the 100 loads of fill dirt, he brought in, I'm guessing with the size of the concrete slab, probably 7, 8 concrete trucks. In the process of doing that, crushed my asphalt driveway, along with, he took out 6 very large trees that were right in that path also. And it seems to me if he's going to do that on county property, it seems like he would have to have some kind of approval. But according to what I've heard today, nobody gave him approval, nobody looked at anything, he just built it. And I understand that's the way things are done, but I've learned, owning my own business, you have to do things the right way. If the health department doesn't get my paperwork, they shut me down. I come out here for Friday night on the square down here, and I set up, feed the people here at the concert. If I don't have the right stuff, I'm shut down. So I heard Shelby say that he took away like 10 loads of the pictures that he brought. That was 1 truckload. There was 1 car, 2 lawnmowers, and some trash. The rest of the property was beautiful. Large trees. I almost bought it, but it was $100,000. We didn't want to fit it in. It was kind of crazy. So we couldn't afford it. Nobody else could build on it. He brought all that fill dirt in, all that concrete in, made it so the water doesn't drain out of our neighborhood. And I've been going back and forth with everybody from the county for a very long time about getting it fixed. And we finally heard somebody say that James Locum is looking into it. But according to the highway department, they don't want to take responsibility for the road. So they've tasked it to Shelby to fix it. And I said, he's not an engineer. He's not a water drainage professional. He's going to come and put a 1-inch pipe in and that's it, So I don't think there's going to be proper oversight. I don't think that's the right way forward. If it's county property, unfortunately, I think the county should have to fix it because somebody else broke it. My main concern is, me and my wife bought that house. We put a lot of money into it. We love that house. It's my very first house I've owned. We have a lot into that house. It's our house. She's a nail tech. I'm a chef. I own a local business. We don't think it's right for people to come in on our property. And we've brought in gravel. We've brought in things to try to stop the drainage. He's built this huge building. And, the drainage is a problem. Hopefully it's going to be solved. I think he should have to rip that all back down to the original thing so the water floods out of my property. So I think what the city or from the county has heard, there's been a person that promises things and doesn't follow through. This person has promised me he's going to put a culvert in 2 years ago, promised me he was going to cut my driveway with a saw that was broken, fill that in. Hasn't happened. I've tried to do everything I can do with staying calm. Sometimes I haven't handled myself perfectly in this situation, but I feel the loss of my property is aggravating. So my father-in-law is working on me with that. But
Sir, you need to finish up here.
okay, all right, that's good. Thank you very much. For
Wait a minute, there may be some questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, you did a good job.
I'm available for catering if anybody has that question.
Next.
Thank you very much for listening. Else too.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is William Yelverton. I've lived at Riley Road. I have some slides here, if you could put up the first one. Been a resident of this house since 28 years now. This was a log house built by Charlie Farrer. You may recognize the name, Farrer Brothers Hardware. It's an irreplaceable house. It's a historic house. These logs were hewn in 200 years ago, and it's the property adjacent to where this building came up. I'm just going to quote a few statements from the code as I understand directly. At 102, it says that the purpose of this is to prohibit uses building structures which are incompatible with the character or development or the permitted uses within a specific zoning district, and to conserve the value of land and the buildings thereon throughout the county. Any change of in 104C, it says when any existing use is proposed to be changed to another use, it may only be changed to a use that is permitted in the district. 403B says special exceptions permitted for consideration by the Board of Zoning Appeals are listed in the Land Use Activity Table, Appendix B. Now, if you look at Appendix B, there's no provision for a structure of this type. There's an agricultural exception, but this is obviously not an agricultural facility. It doesn't meet the definition, and it doesn't have the required amount of acreage. There are a few common sense things in the code here. For example, the site shall not be exposed to objectionable smoke, dust, noise, odors, so on and so forth. Residents have observed burning. Some residents have complained of burning eyes and health issues due to the burning of materials back there. There's been heavy equipment back there. 3 doors down from my property on Riley Road, there's the owner of Davenport Excavating lives there. Now, he was sanctioned for bringing in heavy equipment there. He wasn't allowed to do that anymore. He was parking large earth movers in front of his house. They stopped him from doing that. So he had to abide by that. Now, we have heavy machinery, in the woods behind my house, which, by the way, is the largest stand of forest closest to the college. There are, huge oak trees on this property, and now they've been cleared out. A lot of stuff burned. Also, another common sense thing: restrict prohibited uses which are vulnerable to water or erosion hazards which result in damaging increases to erosion, flood heights, or velocities. Control the alteration of natural floodplains, stream channels, and natural protective barriers which are involved in the accommodation of floodwaters. Go to the next slide, please. We met with Mark Russell, and this area in red here is where Mr. Hunton without permission, built the, may I have a little more time?
Go ahead, I'll give you a little more time.
Okay, and the area in red there is, if you can look, both streets drain directly toward that ditch. Now, go to the next slide, please. This is the ditch would be right on the left side of the sign, and you can see there's stuff growing in it. There's hardly any ditch left. It's just very shallow. Now, before this, the Willifords had the property where Bob lives, and they took meticulous care of this. This was a very porous lawn. It absorbed a lot of water. It was very deep. They mowed it, they took care of it, they took all of the debris out of it. You may know Larry Williford from the school district, I don't know, but they took meticulous care of this. And now look at it, it's filled with privet, and the ditch, the culvert that goes under my driveway, it gets stopped up every time it rains. Now, Mr. Hunton said, well, there's always been flood there. Go to the next slide, please. I got this from my neighbor, okay, May 9th, 2024. He said, on a quick work break, I didn't know who it was, Steve Wick, my neighbor, he moved in 28 years ago, same time I did. He said, there's a huge flood here. And I said, is it in your house? No, it's right up next to my house. It has a steep. And he said, it's the worst he's ever seen in 28 years. Okay, go to the next slide, please. I got to my house a little bit after, and after it had gone down a couple of inches. It came within 2 inches of going in my house, hitting the floors. Next slide, please. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is the date of that flood where there were 3.25 inches of rain that fell. Only 3.25 inches. Okay, and it almost flooded my house. Go to the next slide, please. When Nashville flooded 15 years ago, there were almost 11.7 inches of rain, and it didn't flood that badly. So it has gotten very, very much worse. Next slide, please. It actually floated my propane tank up off its base and moved it. The water got so high. Next slide. And you can see the high water mark on my shed where it's damaged around my outbuildings. Now, if a person knowingly violates code, as somebody who is a real estate person would know that he would have, if he would have asked for permission for this, they wouldn't have granted it to him, obviously. So he's going by the old thing that, well, I'm going to do it and I'm going to ask for forgiveness.
Sir, you need to finish up now.
Okay, just one more thing. This is incompatible with the character and the development and permitted uses within the specific zoning district. Either you stand by the code and reward the violator, or you disrespect the community. I hope this variance is denied and the damage can be repaired.
Thank you. Next. Anyone else? Come on up. You don't need notes, do you?
Juanita Davenport. I live at 2211 Riley Road.
Pull the microphone down. Yeah.
Juanita Davenport. I live at 2211 Riley Road. I have seen stuff brought in big trucks. I have also seen him burn stuff back there, that the flames would be so high that we were scared it's going to catch everything on fire. Yes, we've had water to build up. I brought pictures showing where it just about got in my house. It covered my front yard up. It covered my backyard up. It did get in my patio, and it took about 2 to 3 days before it ever drained out. Usually it don't take that long. We have had water to come up before, but it never got anything like this. The ditches has been closed up back there. It's always run off. This time it's running back towards me, and it's also running back towards my other neighbors. We paid a lot for our house, and we'd like to keep it the way it is. Yes, it needs to be cleaned up out there, but no one's come by and said anything to us about doing anything about the drainage. And my yard and my neighbor's yard get more water than anybody's. And nobody has ever came by. We've been there 26 years, and no one has ever came by and said a thing about fixing anything. And I don't think it should go through, because now he has built that up and it's backing up on everybody back here. It's not draining off, it's staying there for days. And that I just feel like that we're doing the wrong thing by letting it go through. And he needs to do something about cleaning the ditches back out that he's filled up.
Mr.
Go
Davenport,
ahead.
I got a question for you. So you're talking about, has it gotten worse, the drainage part, since he put the driveway in?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it used to flow down through there. Now, instead of it going down through there, it's backing back up. I brought pictures. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I brought pictures.
Are you recommending that
I
that we deny this? Is that what you're saying?
Recommending that you deny it.
If we do that, is it going to help your drainage problem out there?
If he cleans back out what he filled in.
Well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about whether we're going to approve this storage or not. It's not anything else. If we turn it down, nothing's going to happen out there. It's not going to alleviate your drainage problem. And I don't want to, I don't want to approve anything that would make it worse than what it is now. You've had a drainage problem there for a long time, have you not?
Yes, sir, we have, but we've not had it
This bad? Okay. Okay, yeah,
He brought all this stuff in.
okay. All right, thank you very
Ms.
much.
Davenport, the pictures that you brought in yesterday had been included in the PowerPoint, so I've scrolled through them. If there's anything that you want to add to some of the pictures that you brought in or explain any of them, you're more
You
than...
can, at one of them, it's across the road.
Okay.
That's part of my front yard. That is too. This is my backyard. It's never got like that. Never. That's coming into my,
Did it get into your house?
no, sir, it didn't get into the house, but it got into my patio.
Okay. But you never had that drainage problem before, had you?
This is my drive right here.
Okay.
It covered it up.
There is a photo at the end.
That's my patio.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
At the end of Riley and Candy Court, right there. It's always went down. Now it comes back up. You can see the water coming back up.
Yeah, okay.
Can't go any farther.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I'm Gary Fisher. I live across the street from Mrs. Davenport, and we're having the same issues. Our house, do you want these photos? Can you use these photos?
You can pass them to the board members, but we would need, if those are your originals, we'll need to keep it for the record. If those are your only copies, we will need to keep it for the record if you want the board to see the photo. Oh, okay. Do you want to look
Like
at it?
Mrs. Davenport was saying, never had an issue before, and now it floods a lot. And at one time, I was looking if it was flooding, and I was getting kind of concerned it was headed toward my front door. And it didn't make it, thank God. It finally went over May Lane, and then went in my other neighbor's yard. So, never had this issue before, never had this kind of flooding before. So, you can have those, you can keep those pictures.
We've got them.
You got them?
We'll pass them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, I'm Reverend Dr. Bobby Harding. I'm one of the pastors at First Presbyterian Church, just a couple blocks away. I'm good friends with Shelby. His family's been attending our church for quite some time. I don't know anything about culverts and ditches and drainage or anything like that. It sounds to me like there are some possible solutions to the drainage issues, and Shelby's willing to address those. I just wanted to speak on behalf of his character. I've known him for 10 years. I know that he loves this city, and his family is very involved in a lot of things here and around Murfreesboro and through the church. He's not a bad actor, and I think that the it should be, you should approve it and give Shelby a chance to prove to you that he is someone who follows through on what he says he's going to do. And so I hope you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Sir, I'm Jason Davis. I have lived in this subdivision all my life. My parents lived at 2214 Raider Drive, and water has always been an issue in this area, always. It comes off of Twin Oak Drive, which they built 4 houses back there. The county bought some land on Twin Oak to eliminate the water. The county bought that and took care of that problem. It still didn't fix the water. The water comes across Twin Oak, goes right through my other property on Twin Oak. The pipes in that whole area need to be replaced. We are talking with the county right now with the road student about fixing our pipes in our neighborhood for 2214 and the adjacent lot. But for everybody to come up here and say it's not been that he's causing a water problem, it's always been a water problem. The water is always dammed up. The log cabin, I remember as a kid, it always has gotten in that house before when the Farrows lived there. It's always been a problem. I remember riding my bicycle around that area and water just flying everywhere. It was so fun. We lost goldfish down that property one time. It flooded our pond and took all our goldfish out and ended over on Hallsville Pike. So Mr. Hutton, him doing what he did is not had anything to do with the water. It's not an issue at all. So I approve to leave it like it is. He is a good guy. I've known him all my life. Again, water is not an issue because of his structure. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
My name is Bruce Bailey. I'm a longtime Rutherford County resident. Also worked for the Rutherford County Sheriff's Department and retired from the United States Army. I am Shelby Hunton's good friend, and I also am employed by him. I help manage some of his properties. I was in that ditch 2 days ago. I went in there with a chainsaw and cleared out all the deadfall. I dug, I cleaned, I pulled all the privet. I had another guy working with me. We spent several hours out there. We hauled everything back onto Mr. Hutton's property. The flooding out there, I'm not an engineer, and I'm not going to attest that I am or an expert in this, but if someone was to go out there from the county and see where the water stands out there, where the culvert runs to the cabin, the water is not flowing under the road, flowing under his driveway into the culvert as it should. It stands still. There's a plenty open area. The water should be flowing, but there's so much rock there that nothing's getting soaked in. We've tried to do several things out there as far as cleaning up and working on the property. And I've got no interest in it, so I don't really care. You know, I'm out there just trying to help out. But I think there was a good faith that we went out there and really worked that ditch. But I think someone professionally needs to go out there and look at it. Somebody that is an engineer, someone from the county needs to look at the water, because when I worked for the Sheriff's Department and I patrolled through that area, that was my assigned patrol area, water was a problem out there. There's several areas in the county that water's a problem. And, but as far as Mr. Hutton's, you know, I've taken things out to that building. Mr. Hutton has a lot of antiques. He's got old cars. He's got a lot of old stuff. Shelby doesn't throw anything away. I think he's got his daddy's stuff in there and his granddaddy's stuff in there, and there's probably his great-granddaddy's stuff in there. There's probably some Civil War relics in there too. He doesn't throw nothing away. As far as business stuff being run out of there, I mean, there's a bunch of junk in there. It's his stuff though. You know, it's his personal property. Just like if it's your house, you put your junk in it. Well, that's his place. He puts his junk in it. And it's well kept. It's organized. And as far as the heavy machinery moving out there was a skid steer out there, which is not a heavy machinery. It's a skid steer, a small bobcat. And it was used to clean up and move rocks, trees that were down, to clean up the property. He wasn't doing any bulldozing, or there was no excavator out there or anything like that. It was a small skid steer bobcat. So that's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Next.
Hey guys, my name is Whit. I lived in that neighborhood for 14 years up until a year and a half ago. It's one of the nicest little neighborhoods, and I love all my old neighbors over there. You guys were incredible. I have the unique outlook on this for Shelby was my realtor on 2 houses I lived in that neighborhood. And I remember on the first one, he said, "Are you sure you want to live back here with these mosquitoes that'll carry you off?" Because the flooding was a problem. And I remember I lived in the A-frame across from Mr. Fisher, and the May floods that we're all so familiar with, I had water in my crawl space. And I think 2-3 years later, I had water in my crawl space again over at that house. And I remember the first time it happened, some neighbors came over and said, "Welcome to the neighborhood." So I think the best thing you can do is approve this and let him fix the drainage. But honestly, the county should be ashamed of themselves for letting this go on as long as it has. That's the biggest problem here. And I don't know if y'all can pass it along or do anything about it, but oversee what Mr. Hunton can do and make it done right and fix the flooding back there once and for all. I mean, it was one of the loveliest neighbors you could ever had, the best realtor I could ever have. I hate that everybody's after each other on this because it's two good people. The county needs to get behind this and do what's right and fix it once and for all.
Thank you. Next.
My name's Jamie Bigelow. I'm a friend of Shelby Hunton, and it's going to be hard to follow Whit. I've got a little story about Whit. When he bought his first house, Shelby and I went out there, and you know, there was water then. That was, Whit, 14 years ago, you said? And so it has been a problem out there a long time. But, so I'm not going to talk about the water. We all know about it. I would like to say something about Shelby. He's kept everything. Like Whit said, his dad's, his grandfather's, and it's all sentimental to him. I never really had that about myself. My parents didn't, excuse me, my parents didn't teach me that about being sentimental, but I learned it from Shelby. And so this building is important to him. It is a big building, and it is full of his stuff, but it's all stuff that really means a lot to him. And like Whit, I hate that everybody's in this situation, but again, it's not a situation that Shelby caused, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Next. Anyone else? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. All right, come on.
What I saw were a lot of appliances, washing machines and stuff like that. It would lead me to believe that somebody's using this as a storage facility for rental properties, which I know he's got at least 10 properties in town. So it is not just personal storage. I think this is related to his business as a renter.
Thank you. We'll close the public hearing at this time.
All right, I've got a question. And I understand right now people are between a rock and a hard place. We got a problem out there with the water, and technically, like you said, Mr. Chairman, it can't be fixed if it's not approved. If there, and I know Danielle has put something in her comments about that process being done. If we prove this, can we put a timeline on giving him a certain amount of time to get this done? I know you spoke a while ago about getting the permit and all that process like that. I want to put some constraints on this where we can actually get something done and get the drainage fixed. If we can't get it 100% fixed, get it a whole lot better than it is now. And I think the driveway is a problem. And I think that may fix quite a few things there on the drainage. I'm no engineer, but I slept in a Holiday Inn last night. But I just want to know if we can put a timeline on him getting something done.
Gary, here's my thoughts on that. Whether we approve this or disapprove the storage there, it's not going to solve the water problem out there. So I don't want to mislead anyone. We don't have the authority to go out there, and we don't have the ability to go out there and correct that problem. It's going to be the road board and the engineers before they, and I sympathize with that. I hate to see the water drainage the way it is, and I don't have any expertise in solving that problem. I don't think we do that.
But, Mr. Chairman,
now, here's the other thing about it. Is this appropriate use of this property to have that large storage area? I question that. And I don't see any home being built there. So is this going to end up being something other than personal storage?
But, Mr. Chairman, I think I respectfully disagree to some point on that. I think we can put conditions on him if it's approved for him to actually do something with that driveway and actually help alleviate some of the problems on that drainage there in the conditions that we can put on him. That way, the neighborhood gets the water issue hopefully fixed a whole lot better, and then he gets the building part in compliance.
What requirements are you suggesting?
What she talked about earlier in her presentation.
Yes. The recommended condition that was discussed with the highway department, these are improvements or changes that the applicant and the road department have discussed. And he's agreed to making those changes to the driveway. I don't think he will completely solve the drainage problem in the area, but the highway department, wants to ensure that those modifications to the driveway and the existing drainage ditch.
I got a question.
Okay.
Wait a minute, I'm not through yet.
Okay.
Please.
So that was the recommended condition, was that those improvements are prior to the issuance of a building permit, that those improvements have been completed and inspected by the highway department and deemed satisfactory.
And hopefully, our highway department, which is our public works department, is actually in there as well. Hopefully, if it won't alleviate it, hopefully the highway department will work towards helping get that situation even better. But I want him to be involved in it because the driveway was part of the problem as far as the drainage. Not all of it, but part of it. So this way, I think by doing this, we're going to kill two birds with one stone, in my opinion. We're going to look at the drainage for the neighborhood out there to help alleviate that. Highway department will be involved in it, and hopefully we'll make it even better. And then the storage part the building will be in compliance. So that's kind of my recommendation, or my thoughts.
Yeah, but I don't want to mislead these good folks here by
neither.
That this is going to correct your drainage problem out there. I wish that I could say that what we do would alleviate the problem. I'm not sure that's going to do that, and I'm not sure that anyone has really been out there and assessed what needs to be done to solve the problem. I wish I knew more about that.
But I think with the county engineer and the engineer at the highway department, I mean, they're the engineers. If they're in their thought process, being out there, it's going to help alleviate some of the drainage problem. If the highway department can actually go even further, maybe make it even better. I have confidence in the highway department's engineers that they can make this thing even better, and so I understand that without the approval, nothing's going to happen, nothing, except maybe the people out there will have to have a lawsuit between each other to do something civilly. But I think with this here, I think it's a compromise that the county could be working with the property owner and getting a problem hopefully fixed better than what it is now.
Well, I wish I could say that I know that that would happen. I'm not sure that's going to happen. But anyway, we've got places all over this county that has problems with the drainage, and it's getting worse all over the, not just this neighborhood, but all over. Now, why are we not doing something about it in this county?
Well, Mr. Chairman, that's why when I was on the county commission a few years back, that's why I pushed and helped implement a public works department in the highway department for this very reason. Because there are drainage issues across this county.
Yeah.
And I think I still have confidence in the public works department out there to help work through this process with those engineers.
Well, we've talked more about drainage and the water problem than we have the facility that we're considering.
Because
look how large that is.
I know, Mr. Chairman, they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. We've got an application before us. There's a problem out there. There's two problems. Someone's out of compliance on the building, and there's a drainage problem. Why can't we help alleviate both problems at the same time?
Well, Gary, you can't guarantee that.
I can't guarantee I'm going to walk out here and not die on it. But the thing is, if we don't do something, nothing's going to be done.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to me.
Okay. Any other comments, questions? Are you going to make a motion? We're through with the public hearing. I'm sorry. Ma'am, we're through with it. Thank you. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but when we close a public hearing, we have to do that. Thank you, though. Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request with the conditions that have been set forth, what Danielle has stated, and that way, and also I'd like to put 6 months that
review it in 6 months.
Review it in 6 months.
Do we have a second to that?
I'll second it so we can at least get a vote.
Okay, we have a second to it. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Mike Curtis,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Renee Curtis, Patrick Hale,
Yes.
Zane Cantrell.
Yes. Okay, we have a motion and it's cleared. We have an announcement that we need to make about.
There's been a change to our meeting in July. It will be moved to July 16th, which is the third Wednesday of July, and I will announce it again at the next two meetings, but they are making some improvements to this room, and they probably need an entire week to replace the systems, and so we're on the calendar for July 16th instead of July 9th.
Put that down, you might want to write that down, but we will get a notice out to at the appropriate time. Thank you all for being here, and I hope this helps out some out there. We are adjourned. Thank you.